Hey guys, how's it going? So today we're going to be trying out, honestly, I think one of the harder challenges on the channel, which is going to be not using undo. I feel like this is going to end up being one of the trickier ones that I've done so far, especially because I like to try out a lot of the colors on the same layer, so we're going to have to change up the process a little bit. I'm also going to be trying to limit the amount of times I use the eraser and liquify tool, just because I feel like that is kind of the same thing as undo, honestly. Trying to eliminate the perks of digital art and become a true traditional peasant for the day. Alright, so this is the first sketch. I honestly had like 4 or 5 different attempts before this one that we're just gonna forget about. Trying to do the sketching with the no undo honestly just goes against everything in my brain. Normally, I also spam the eraser, and I was trying to hold back on that too, so it's like, yeah, we just skill issue central. And there's a side profile, which I'm like super mid at, so, was not helping. But for coloring, I was kind of keeping my normal process where it's like, I do just a gradient in the background, just a base color, and then the line art over that. What I was doing to get around the no eraser and undo rule was just merging the line art with the color, and then just wiggling the lines around with that, with the skin color, and then like the line art color. I don't know if that was the best move, personally. It took a long time, but we kind of got it dialed. And then I also thought that just for composition, because we got a lot of orange here, some blue flowers in the bottom would look kind of sick. And then I made her eyes blue as well because of that. Because, I mean, you know me, I'm a blue and orange enjoyer, so gotta plug it when I can. And honestly, I feel like after the initial like base stuff was laid down, my process didn't change a ton. I thought it'd be much more different than like how I normally do things, but turns out my shading, the multiply layer and all that stuff doesn't really get affected by the undo, because I can just use a different color to like clean up the edges a little bit. It's still not like exactly where I want it. There was a lot of me just spamming Alt Z and then expecting something to happen and then nothing happens. So I was starting to get used to that towards the end of it in the second drawing, but this one, it was still some muscle memory issues, you know what I mean? I wanted to keep the lighting pretty simple just because I knew that if I want like too much detail, I would lose a lot of that sharpness, especially with the no undo. Like I'm already bad at like throwing a ton of detail and stuff, and if I throw no undo on top of that, no liquify, no eraser, like we would just be cooked, you know what I mean? In that bottom part, I was thinking it'd be cool. I didn't really have like any specific flowers in mind, but just like a field of like blue flowers. Maybe she's like a magician or something, and that's like part of her powers, like blue flowers. Maybe it's like lightning or like a blue fire type deal, and that's kind of like the form they take. I don't know, maybe it's like a nature elf situation, who knows? I'll leave it up to you guys, but honestly I think that was one of the few good decisions in this whole drawing. Honestly, one thing that I was messing with the whole time was just that bridge of the nose. I feel like there's a little bit of a T-Rex look that I was trying to avoid. I've always had that problem with my side profiles, and I don't know why. The last few that I did, I kind of locked in, but I mean, hey, we're back to square one again, so who knows? Honestly, I'll just study more anatomy. Womp womp. And I was also tossing a little bit more, just like brighter colors in the flowers, then also in that gold on the hat and all of that, just to help add a little bit more interest. I wasn't going like specific details, but more just like alluding that there's a detail here, there's a detail here, you know? Not trying to do anything too specific, but just like an illusion overall. And I think we did pretty good, honestly. I didn't go a crazy amount of like highlights or anything like that. I think I wanted it to be like a pretty dim lighting scenario. So I thought if I threw a ton of highlights in, it kind of mess it up. I still had a couple in the hair, and then obviously you got to throw the one in the eye in. But I didn't go too much more than that, just because, I don't know, I felt like it wasn't really necessary, you know what I mean? And honestly, I feel like one of the like quickest ways to ruin a drawing is just to spam highlights in it, because it kind of kills whatever lighting scenario you've got going on. Because if you have like a super harsh shadow, but everything else is a highlight, it's like, and maybe that really only bothers me, but I don't know, that's a thing that I used to do a lot, is just spam highlights in literally everything. It's like, is that a thing, piece of clothing highlight, hair highlight, eye highlight, lip highlight, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just not necessary most of the time, you know what I mean? Alright, so here is the first drawing all done. Honestly, not too bad for no undo. I don't think I've drawn anything traditional or no undo or anything like that as like a full drawing in probably like 2 or 3 years. So, hey, I'll take what I can get, right? And here is the second attempt. Not gonna lie, I did kind of drop this one. I was messing with the backlight that I had going on with that like deep red. I thought that was like a cool situation. And I was honestly kind of a fan of the pose too, but I don't know, it just something just felt a little off. And with that no eraser especially, like couldn't really restart. So I was like, I got sick of it pretty quick. I messed around with it for like probably 5-10 minutes, and I was like, I'll just call it. The hairstyle wasn't really working out either, like how I had it in my head. So, I was just like, hey, I'll just start a new whole situation, and hopefully better luck next time. All right, so here's the sketch for the second drawing. What we're gonna be going with for the second drawing. So I was kind of going for more of like an outside kind of vibe. Gonna be going ideally like simpler shading across the whole thing. I'll be taking a lot more time with this one though. I think the last one was about 40 minutes, and the dropped one was like about 10 or 15. And I think we're probably gonna spend an hour and a half-ish on this guy. Really get it like dialed in, make it look some sharp details, hopefully. We'll have to see how it goes. But just starting out with like a pretty simple base color for the background, and the reference, it was at like a dock, a cruise ship kind of thing. You can miss me with that. I'm not drawing no cruise ship, so we're going straight blue. All right, and I just thought that like green gradient at the bottom just helped it out a little bit. We're doing pretty similar to what I normally do, with just the orange behind the character, doing that skin tone on top of that, and just kind of working through the base colors like that. One thing that was different with the no undo is that I couldn't really make my sketch as clear because you can't go back, right? So I'm going to try and do like more of like a painterly approach where I just layering a lot of colors on top of each other. So hopefully that can give me some sharpness, but I don't have to worry about, messing up. I know I will, but like it won't be as big of a stress. So, and this one I did let myself use the eraser a little bit more, especially towards the end with the hair shape. I don't know, it's just to make things look better overall. Right? And you see just tossing some simple base colors in the shirt and all that, keeping it pretty simple. The color scheme and the outfit isn't really anything too crazy, so I was really hoping that could let the shading like shine. Now I just gotta make the shading look good, but that's a different problem. All right, we'll take one at a time here. Just adding a little bit more detail to the eyebrows and the facial expression. I did want to do like a pretty subtle expression, but like make it look real, and I feel like that's honestly one of the harder things, because I feel like with the extreme expressions, it's almost like easier to like make them look realistic, because you don't really see that every day. So you don't really, I don't know, the small details don't matter as much there. But when it's something super subtle, like a little head nod or like a smirk or something like that, I don't know, I always have a lot more trouble with that, because I feel like, I don't know if it's because you see that every day, or if it's because the details are so small so it really matters. I mean, that's when I'm like, whoa, when I'm really wowed by some of the pro artists, because like they be knocking that out no problem, you know what I mean? But yeah, now we're just throwing some basic shading in there. I did overshade the shirt, but we're gonna be going back to that. It does look, how you say, bad right now, but I got a little ahead of myself. But I think the skin's looking pretty good. I did have some trouble initially getting that like forehead and cheek shape in. I don't know, I just don't do that like above lighting scenario that much. And because she is outside, the actual shading colors aren't going to be too dark, because it's an overall like real light scene. So that was just one thing I was keeping in mind. Then we also got the loose strands in the hair. That is what I use the eraser for the most. So besides that, I tried to use it not much, but I was really struggling. I cut it out, but I would say probably being dead ass like 15 minutes of just drawing those little hair strands, just because like I want it to look like it's like a slight breeze, where it's like it looks like the hair's actually moving. But hey, let me know if we did good or not. I tried to cook, but who knows. And then yeah, we just redid some of that shading in the shirt as well. Just I don't know, it was looking real muddy. I just figured that doing more of like a cell shading approach, where it's like just blocking out colors, fit the scene more. Sometimes I feel like a smoother shading works better for the lighting scenario, but in this one I feel like, especially because it's a shirt, so like the creases would be pretty clear, doing that cell shading was just a little bit better of a decision in the end. And I did try and keep that blockier shading across the entire drawing, just because I do feel like it looks a little weird if you have like smooth here, blocky here. I don't know, unless it's on purpose, which then that's kind of cool, but if you're doing that on accident, it just always looks kind of mid. So yeah, we're trying to avoid that right now. I wasn't going too crazy with the highlights either. I wanted to keep it, again, like the lighting situation is pretty simple, and it's just overall pretty bright, so there's not gonna be any like super harsh highlights besides maybe the eyes, because usually I go like pure white for the eyes. Like the eyes would be the brightest highlight, and then it goes like next tier down would be like, I don't know, lips would be the next shiny thing, stuff like that. But here I just did like kind of almost like a skin tone for that highlights in the eyes, and didn't really mess with too many other ones, just because, I don't know, I felt like it wasn't quite necessary. Alright, so here's both the ones I'll finish up. Honestly, I feel like we did pretty good. I'm a big fan of the second one. The first one, I feel like the anatomy is a little off, and I don't know, it's just irking me a little bit. But second one I'm down with, so I'll take that. Let me know if you want to see me do anything else, and I think that's all I got for you guys this week, so see ya.